Hey, it's Russ from the Infectious Groove Podcast and Vinyl Channel. There have been a lot of Elvis live releases over the past 10 years on vinyl, but this one we're going to feature today goes all the way back to the year 2000. Going to talk about the 5 LP version of That's the Way It Is, coming right up. Want to start out by saying whether this is your first time on the channel or you've seen some vinyl videos we've done in the past, I'm hoping today this video here is the one that earns your subscription. So please, if you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button below. Maybe share this video with another Elvis fan or a vinyl fan, or maybe one of the other videos that we have on the channel will suit something that you could share. Every little bit helps grow the channel, so we greatly appreciate it. As far as the star of the show today goes, I'm going to talk about what I remember being the very first time that the Graceland estate really delved into the golden era of Elvis for many fans, certainly for me. As far as I'm concerned, the late 1969 to late 1972, early 1973 really is the golden era of Elvis, certainly from a live concert standpoint. And I feel, and many others do, that creativity-wise in the studio was really a great time for Elvis as well. All the stuff that he was doing was new to him, certainly quite a step up from the material that he had done for all of the movie soundtracks, and just a lot more personal, great material. If you're an Elvis fan, you already know all of this. If you're not, I really, really do suggest looking into that era of Elvis, that late 1969 era in the studio, and then this concert era that followed that was just fantastic. So as far as this set goes, there's a ton of things to love about it, and one thing that I have a complaint on, and it's not even really a complaint, it's more that I just don't get it, or there could have been done, I guess, slightly better, at least in my opinion. But one thing that stands out about this box set that was done way, way, way better than many of the releases that have come out since then is the packaging. They seem to put a lot more time and energy and thought into this packaging and the overall presentation than they have any release that I've seen that's come out since then, in the over 20 years since this was released. Now, if you look at this from the outside, it just kind of looks like a regular 5 LP box set, but when you take it out of the cover, you can see it's actually a frosted slipcase, which may not seem like the biggest deal in the world, but again, for all of the Elvis releases that have come out since this, they haven't even done that. They've done single LP covers and some gatefolds, but this one just kind of is unique in the fact that it has a completely different aesthetic and much cooler packaging, in my opinion, than anything that they've done since then. Now, as far as the actual records go inside the slipcase, again, really cool packaging there. We'll get there in a second. Another cool thing that they included in the box set that I haven't hung up yet, but I do really think I'm going to get around to it one day, is this super slick poster. Now, of course, it's very basic, but it is pretty sweet looking, especially if you like Elvis live in that era. Just some great action shots, and then one of him in the rehearsal at the end. And you'll see that this color pattern kind of follows through the LPs themselves here in a second. Now, the actual LPs, the cover, the front covers, very cool, but very basic. Just black and white photos of Elvis either in rehearsal or live on stage. Pictures that many of us Elvis fans have probably seen several times, but still presented in a new way, which I think is pretty slick. Now, when we get to the back covers, you'll see what I was talking about with the color scheme transferring over to the actual LPs. When we get into what's included audio-wise on here, this was really the first time that the Graceland estate not only acknowledged that era that many of us Elvis fans love so much, the late 60s and early 70s as far as concerts, but really the first time that they gave us any new material from that era. Up until this point, all of us Elvis fans only had really the a very few early live albums from that era and the studio album for That's the Way It Is. So the way this set kicks off is with a remastered version of the studio album, That's the Way It Is. And I love that the back cover is more or less a reworking of the original cover art for the album, That's the Way It Is. And again, you'll see how the theme, the color theme, keeps matching the poster that was included along the way. But the first LP is really the most unexciting of the set, I guess you could say, in as much as it's the original studio album that you already know, I Just Can't Help Believin' Through Bridge Over Troubled Water, but remastered for, to my knowledge, the first time at that time. Sounds fantastic. Now, when you get into the second LP is when I get to what I'm not even sure if I would classify it as a complaint, but something that I don't really get is how things are tracked. So when you get into this second LP, you get the first side of the LP is more songs from the That's the Way It Is sessions, not rehearsals or anything, but from the actual sessions. So When I'm Over You, Something, Rags to Riches, things like that. And that's included on the first side. Then the second side is where the live concert starts, that's included in here. So in order to start the live concert, that's a big focal point of this set, you have to go to side 2 of the second record. Whereas you would think that the concert would start from side 1 of one of the LPs. It's very, very strange. It's also a very long concert. The concert starts on record 2, side 2, goes over both sides of the third LP, then goes through all of side 1 of the fourth LP and the very start of side 2 of the fourth LP. So even trying to explain where the concert sits in this set is kind of hard to even remember for this YouTube video. So that's kind of a weird way to do it, for it to leak over that many records when it seems like it could have been tracked differently, to where maybe it rounded out the set or something along those lines. Then when you get to the after the show, so of course Elvis closes with Can't Help Falling in Love, then you get rehearsals on the rest of side 1 of the fourth LP, side 2 of the fourth LP, and then all of side 1 and 2 of the fifth LP. So it's tracked a little strange to me. I guess if I were going to be doing this, what I would have done is, if you're going to include the first LP, put of course the album itself on the first LP, then maybe 2 and 3 do the rehearsals over those 2, and then after that is when you would have the concert start. I don't know, it just seems like a very odd way to do it, even from a chronological standpoint. Like if you have the studio record, then they would have done the rehearsals for the live show, then the live concert would have happened. So even from a chronological standpoint, it's weird that they have the album, the outtakes from the album, which I understand, but then the concert in the middle, and then rehearsals from the concert. It's just kind of all the way across the board from the way it lays over the 5 LPs. Doesn't really make sense to me from the way chronologically, like if you were going to experience the That's the Way It Is era, that doesn't make sense either. Having said that, I could also see the idea being that you're just going to put this on and listen to it straight through, so who really cares what falls on what side? I could see that being maybe a line of thought. I'm not entirely sure. I feel like maybe a lot more thought went into the actual packaging this time around than anything else, which is, again, fine, because a lot of the Elvis releases that have come out since then, even the Record Store Day releases, the actual packaging hasn't been very nice at all. Even some of the That's the Way It Is reissues that have come out very recently, either on a 2 or there's even a 4 LP set that's out there, almost mimic the original release, with the concert picture on the front and the yellow and black on the back, and you wouldn't really know it was a special edition if you weren't looking closely at the print anyway. So if for this release they put more thought into the packaging than anything, I'm cool with that. Plus, the centerpiece of the album really is the live concert that you get in here. Now, I know I talked a little bit at the beginning about this being a great era for Elvis. Again, if you're watching this video and you don't really know that much about Elvis in this era, definitely take a listen to some of the things he was doing at this time. The concert that's included on here is August 12th, 1970, the Midnight Show, which most Elvis fans agree is the best overall concert that he did of his entire career. It's a very long concert, thus the reason why it skips over so many records, but Everything that he does on there are great versions. Yeah, there's a lot of screwing around on stage that he was doing at that time, but it's all very sincere. It's not like he's recycling jokes and whatnot. It still comes off as like fresh material, and that he's having fun with it, and so is the band. His backing musicians, James Burton, the Sweet Inspirations, Ryan Tutt, they're all on fire for the whole show. The set list for the show is absolutely fantastic. And again, now, some people might be watching this and say, well, that's not my favorite Elvis show, or, oh, there's a much better version of Bridge Over Troubled Water from, this city in this year, or there's a much better version of Make the World Go Away from 3 weeks before that in Vegas. I understand that. I'm certain there's going to be individual songs that might be better at other performances, or maybe even years later. But overall, the show is pretty much universally regarded as the best single concert that Elvis ever did, like from start to finish. So that's a great reason to pick up a set like this. As far as the ability to pick up this set, I don't collect any of my records for rarity or anything I truly love. I buy all these records because I love them. And if they happen to be rare, great. This particular set, I'm really surprised hasn't gone up in price, because it was only pressed the one time in the year 2000 and has never received a reissue since then. And so I'm quite surprised that the price hasn't gone up on this much. You can still, to this day, pick up a version of this set off of Discogs. As of the shooting of this video, you can still get it for $100, $150, something like that, for the vinyl edition of it, which is really quite a reasonable price, because I feel like if this was released in today's market here with vinyl prices in 2021, and they put out a 5 LP set of all of this type of Elvis material, it would cost more than that at face value, or could. So if you're interested in it, if you're an Elvis fan and you really have never picked this up and you've just wanted to get a look at it to wonder what's included or anything, hopefully this video did a good job of showing you that. And if you're on the fence about buying it, me personally, it's my favorite era of Elvis. This is something I couldn't do without. So I love owning it. I really think that is hands down the best era of Elvis all the way across the board. Vocally, he just sounds amazing. He's still got a lot of the rasp that he had as a younger guy. And he's kind of just growing into that lower booming voice that he would be famous for later, up until including the end of his life. So it's just a fantastic set, really, to get an idea of everything that was going on around that time, and then have what many consider to be his best concert overall as the centerpiece. So, as I said at the start of the video, hopefully this is the one that earned your subscription today. If Elvis isn't your thing, but you just liked box sets, I've got tons of other videos on the channel for you to check out. Maybe there's some other artists that you love that we've already featured. If you love Elvis, you love this set, or you have more questions about this set, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below on any of those topics. We'll be more than happy to interact with you. But most of all, I want to say thanks for watching.